guys, it's Elizabeth. Today we are going to be starting our knitting tutorials, first off with the materials required for knitting. Now the main thing that you will need for knitting, of course, is your sets of needles. Now if you're trying to make a scarf or a blanket, you are going to want these singular pointed needles. They just have a point on one end of them and they usually come in pairs. They're great for working things in rows such as scarves, blankets, even jackets sometimes, if you're going into that more complicated stuff. If you're wanting to work in circles, for examples with socks or hats, you are going to either want double pointed needles or circular needles. The double pointed needles have a point on each end and usually come in sets of 4 to 6. These are usually worked in the smaller rounds, so small circles such as the toes on socks or the very top part of a hat. And then your circular needles tend to have cords, they have cords that connect them end to end, so you can work in larger circles for the outer area of a hat or any large round project that you're working. Another thing that you will need for knitting is most likely going to be these little needle end caps. I don't know what else you call them. I call them little end caps, little tops for your needles. I like these quite a bit. I bought a few sets of them in different sizes for different needles. But basically they just go on the end of your needle and it protects it from getting damaged, scratched up, whatever. But it also protects whatever bag you're putting them in, because I have found that needles do have a tendency to stab holes in whatever bag you're putting your projects in. So that's definitely a recommendation. I would definitely get some of those. But there's also crochet hooks. You don't have to get one of these, but I really do recommend it because it's great for adding detail to your projects. And then of course you are going to need yarn of your desired color, size, whatever, texture. You can get furry yarn, you can get sparkly yarn, you can get yarn that's bigger than your arm, huge yarn, tiny yarn, whatever you like. Of course, different size needles work better with different size yarns. Another thing you're going to want might be stitch markers. These let you know when you're working in the round where your round begins and ends. These ones right here that are kind of just little half circles, I find tend to work best for knitting, but these little safety clip looking ones are my particular favorite because you can actually lock them, which helps protect you from dropping the stitch marker off of your project. There are many other supplies required for knitting, but you don't have to have them starting out. You can always go to your local craft store, your local yarn shop, and shop around in their knitting crochet section for other materials that they may have. For example, pom-pom makers or cable needles are another thing that are often used in knitting, but none of those are required starting out. Those are usually for more complicated and hard patterns. So thank you for tuning into this video. Next time we'll be going over how to cast on, knit, and how to purl. So I hope to see you next time. Bye!